Alright, so today we're going to be doing another lock work episode. This particular gun right here is a Colt New Police in 32, made in 1903. But this video is going to be, it's going to apply to most of the Colt swing out cylinder double actions, clockwise rotation, before the positive lock was introduced in 1907, 1908. So I've already got this taken apart. I took it apart after I got it to inspect it, and I figured while we're putting it back together, I could explain how it works. Start inside in the deepest levels and then slowly add parts after we look at how it works. So start with the bolt right here. As you can see, our bolt is pretty simple. It's got a leaf spring right here, thin little, very small leaf spring. There's our cylinder bolt right there. That little leaf spring is basically a return spring for the cylinder bolt. So pretty simple. You see how the leaf spring fits into the bolt right there. Bolt's held on by a screw. That screw actually is poking out the other side of the frame right here above the trigger guard. I would not take it out. I've never taken one of these out. I think it's probably not a good idea to take out unless you have to. You would have to refer to the shop manual for that. But I'm certainly not going to take it apart. So that's your cylinder bolt with your little leaf spring. We'll go ahead and add a part, and that's going to be our rebound lever. Let me move some of this out of the way, and I'll give you a look at just the rebound lever and how it's shaped. So here's your rebound lever. As you can see, it's got some interesting stuff going on for sure. Take note of this portion right here, shape of it. Got a little gunk on there, but that's a cam of sorts, and I'll show you how it works. We will go ahead and install this in the gun right here. This hole lines up with this hole. Just like that. And then we've got a pin that, once we get it lined up correctly, should drop right in there, just like that. So our rebound lever is what actually trips our bolt, and this is going to be very difficult to get a good view of. But you can see that shorter arm of the rebound lever that I said was a cam. Hopefully you can see. Now I might be trying to get too much of a close-up. So as the rebound lever comes down, slips over that cam, and then when it comes back up, trips your bolt. Slides down, snaps over. As it comes up, trips your bolt. Here, this might be a good view. So as your rebound lever comes up, it's pivoting that bolt until it snaps. And then when the rebound lever comes back down, it cams over that area. Super simple. Kind of like the bolt on a single action army, how it's got the camming action of the hammer cam. And then our little leaf spring down there is simply acting as the return spring for the bolt. So it's kind of how your hand, or how your rebound lever works. I'll go ahead and take that out because I believe that the next part for reassembly that you would put in actually be the hammer and trigger. I just wanted to show how that bolt interacted. So as you can see, we've got a very beautifully fire blued or nitrite blue trigger right here. We will go ahead, drop that in. It will sit right down there. Some beautiful finish on the same type of fire blue on the hammer as well. It's faded at some spots. Sides are polished bright, but still got some nice fire blue in there. It will slip in. Oh, and I'll go ahead and show this before I put the hammer in. We do have a little leaf spring in there for the double action sear. Return it. All it does is return it. Little tiny leaf spring. Anyways, we will see if we can't drop our hammer in. There we go. So, here's how your hammer and trigger interact. If you cock the hammer, of course you'll have return pressure on the trigger. It will slip into that sear and then pull the trigger. It's allowed to fall. And then your return pressure on your trigger pushes it back down, just like that. Cock your hammer and it will slip right in there. And then when you pull your trigger, it's allowed to fall and then the trigger returns. Now if you were to just pull the trigger, you can see it's pushing on that double action sear until boom, and your trigger reset. Boom, trigger reset. So that's what's going on there. Not too dissimilar from any other double action revolver. Now we will go ahead and install our rebound lever. Right there. Now you can see that the rebound lever isn't really interacting with much of anything in its current state, and that's because the piece that connects the rebound lever to the rest of the gun is going to be our hand. This slot right here, get the pointer, slot right here, the rebound lever rides in that. So if we drop our hand in, now, watch this. Whoops. What did I do wrong? Okay, I just wasn't resetting it all the way. But so now our rebound lever is captured behind the hand. Not only that, the rebound lever, when your V mainspring is in here, the lower leg of the spring is pushing down on the rebound lever, which in turn, because of the angle cut into that channel on the hand, is giving your hand forward pressure. It's acting as your handspring. And then of course the pin where the hand sticks into the trigger when you either cock the hammer or pull the trigger, that lifts your rebound lever. And as we saw earlier, your rebound lever trips your bolt. Get to full cock, pull the trigger, boom. Then of course your mainspring will be pushing down on your rebound lever. Reset all that. And I apologize, I'm not pushing it, sometimes not pushing it hard enough to reset the bolt, but there you go. Boom. And of course you would have a side plate covering all this to hold it all in alignment. But there you go. Pull the trigger, boom. Then your V mainspring is your return spring. So that's what's going on there. This is the mainspring. See, you've got little hooks that hook onto that hammer stirrup. You've actually got a protrusion from the mainspring. So this protrusion right here fits into this hole in the frame to help hold it in place. You can see how the lower leg would be resting on the rebound lever, pushing down on it. Then of course your other end would be hooked to this hammer stirrup right here and pushing up and forward on the hammer. But we're not going to put the mainspring in right now. The other thing that I'm going to attempt to demonstrate, and it's not going to be easy on camera, is the what they call on Colts, it's called bank vault lockup. To do that, I'm going to reinstall our cylinder. That went in actually pretty easy. There we go. So try to watch the hand and how it interacts with the ratchet on the back of the cylinder. And I'm going to have to hold a lot of different places to show you this. See that top tooth of the hand pushing on our ratchet, and eventually gets to the point where the lower leg of the hand is pushing on our cylinder. Now, here's the trick. The hand is connected to the trigger. So when you pull the trigger, see that upward motion of the hand? The trigger, your trigger pull is forcing the hand against the ratchet. You can even see a little cylinder movement there. Forcing your hand against the ratchet. Now the trick to that is your bolt is stopping the cylinder from continuing to rotate. So what you're getting there, the hand is trying to rotate the cylinder and the bolt down at the bottom is stopping it from doing so. You get a bank, what they call bank vault lockup. In a properly timed Colt revolver with the trigger held back, forcing this hand up against the ratchet, you should not be able to move the cylinder whatsoever. Of course, once you fire and let go of the trigger, then your return spring should reset everything. I'll go ahead and take this cylinder out. So that's the internal workings. I'll show you, I'll go ahead and reinstall the V-spring just so you can see the setup, what it looks like with the spring installed, but I'm not going to work the action with the V-spring installed. The reason you shouldn't do that is because some of these pins that are stuck into the frame, this one, some other ones, they're supported by the side plate, corresponding holes. And if you don't have the side plate on and you're working the action with the mainspring in, these could just snap off out of the frame and your gun is done for it pretty much at that point, unless you want to pay someone a lot of money to fix it. So I'll get that V-spring installed and we'll be back in just a second. Alright, so after an experience that could only be described as very frustrating and a pain, we've got the mainspring in. So as you can see, this is the stud that protrusion off of the mainspring rests in. There is our, and I did oil this gun. I sprayed some ballistol on it. There's our hook on the mainspring with the hammer stirrup. There's our lower leg resting on the rebound lever. So I'll go ahead and get this gun back together and then show you how it functions all put together. One thing I did forget to mention, just because it's pretty similar on all Colt revolvers, you see we've got a little coil spring there in the side plate, and we've got a track cut out for our cylinder latch. That's going to ride in there. You see there's that return spring. This is a channel for the hand. This is the old style latch, as you can see. It's going to ride in there just like that. And that hole on the cylinder latch is going to interface with your cylinder center pin right here. So let me get this back together and then we'll show you. Alright, so here's the new police all put back together. As you can see, it's very oily. I do like to keep a pretty good coat of ballistol on guns that I know I'm not going to have out for a while. But we'll just look real quick at some of the nice early features on this. You can see there's your, let me wipe that off a little bit. There's your nice Colt's new police roll mark. Another nice early features, the shape of the trigger guard, the cut, how the trigger guard's thinner than the rest of the frame. They stopped doing that eventually, and you'll find new services that are cut like this too. You'll also notice the shape of the front of the top of the frame, sort of peacemaker looking, and then the straight barrel, there's no taper. Also notice the early style of rounded top, very similar to a single action army top strap with just a simple sight groove. Also notice you just got Colt, hard rubber, got a Percha grips. Then of course there's that beautiful fire blue on the trigger and hammer. half moon front sight. Your Colt new police roll marks, patent dates. It's just a really nice example that I got for the right price. See, we've got the long barrel here. Early style of checkering on the hammer. Of course, you've got your early style cylinder latch there. And very heavy spring, slightly slow timed as well. This also has the large, fully fixed firing pin. But just wanted to give you a quick look at the lock work of some of the pre-positive lock Colt double actions. So we'll catch you next time. Thanks.